Welcome to our session on the number one struggle for beekeepers. The Road to Better Beekeeping is a membership educational platform specializing in beekeeping, mentoring, coaching, and beekeeping workshops and coursework for beekeepers who want to improve their skills and solve the problems they're struggling with. In this session, we'll discuss the most devastating issue beekeepers and their bees face, the dreaded Varroa mite. It's all about the mites and the diseases they carry. So join us for support, self-confidence, and success. So let's talk about our fight with the Varroa mite. In any war, there's always collateral damage. In this fight, it's the bees. Populations expand quickly. It's what they do. Making more bees so they can split their colonies in two and swarm is how they reproduce. With all that brood production, though, comes an unwanted side effect of mite production as well. During the heavy brood rearing periods, you'll see mites in the drone brood between the boxes, and that's when we're reminded that the problem is about to get real. Mites like to reproduce in drone brood because the drones have a slightly longer reproductive period, so the mites can get an extra cycle in the cells, increasing their numbers even more. Every foundress mite that enters a cell comes out as 6 to 8 new mites to reinfest your bees. The numbers are overwhelming and almost insurmountable, it seems, but there's a way to get ahead of them. The big trick is to not get behind. That requires vigilance and monitoring and knocking down their numbers, or at least keeping them at a level where most of the bees aren't infected with viruses or stripped of their fat body reserves. The most vulnerable time for the colony is in the fall, when drift from collapsing colonies reinfests what you think was a mite-free unit. So how do we get rid of Varroa mites? Well, that's a good question. Since for the most part, we haven't figured out how to control the mites very well, and we certainly can't control the viruses they're carrying, what can we do? First step is figuring out how bad a problem you have. A few ways to monitor for mites, and I'm going to tell you which one is best and which way is easiest so you can choose which will work for you. First, let's talk about the alcohol wash method. Is it the best way to get mite numbers, and why is it important? Useful metrics is what you get with an alcohol wash. The sugar rolls are notoriously inaccurate, and with so much at stake, why risk it? It's about being able to make decisions about how to treat, when to treat, and if treatment is working. Why torture your bees unnecessarily with treatments and trauma if not required? And it is a lot of work. During the honey harvest season, when the colonies have 3 or 4 supers on, it's even more time-consuming. One helpful tip is that you can use the oxalic acid vaporization treatment after you pull honey supers by utilizing a screen bottom board to count Varroa mite drop and assess your infestation level without worrying about finding or killing your queen. The numbers you need without the risk. How does the mite affect the bees, and do the mites actually kill bees? Good questions. A few things we know for sure from research that's been done are that without the Varroa mite creating the damage and literally sucking the life out of the bees, they would handle the viruses with a lot less loss. The new news is that the viruses have been found to be transmitted both vertically and horizontally. The fact that the workers feed the queen and can transmit viruses through feeding is an enormous issue. Vertical transmission is when the viruses are transmitted up the chain from generation to generation. So the queen can transmit viruses in the eggs she lays if she's infected. But now it also means that the workers can transmit viruses up to her level by feeding her infected food. Horizontal transmission means that the viruses can be passed from worker to worker, or worker to drone and back again through cannibalization, which is a game changer. Makes one wonder if it's possible to eliminate viruses from the bees at all. And of course, it's not. We live with viruses in our bodies almost all the time at various levels. Most of the time, all those pathogens swirling in the air have no effect at all. The reason is due to the multiple prongs of their immune system, both individually and on a colony level. The mite is creating stress, and a lot of it. Without that stress and fat body damage, the bee's immune system would be able to fight the lower viral load and recover. Here's a great graphic that shows how the inputs spiral colony health down to nothing. This is Randy Oliver's graph that you can find on scientificbeekeeping.com, which is an amazing resource for not only disease articles, but also his focus on nutrition is extremely thorough and insightful. So we know that some viruses, like deformed wing virus, are directly correlated to the level of infestation of the Varroa mite, which means the more mites, the more virus. The big picture is no matter which problem, the mite or the virus, the outcome is the same: dead colonies in spring. So what if we first focus on supporting their immune system? That is the key to the issue of honeybee health, in my humble opinion, and most often ignored. We put them in boxes not natural to their original habitat. We inspect them and stress them by breaking their homes open and flipping their rooms around, and we treat them with vaporized acids and chemicals that reside in their brood-rearing chambers for long periods. All that said, this is livestock agriculture, and we have no option sometimes to create a little discomfort to cure disease. But a little stress reduction goes a long way to improving bee health. Let's talk briefly about treatments. There's a ton of treatment information out there by some of the finest research institutions in the country, so I'm not going to do a deep dive here in all the modalities and their potential. I do encourage you to learn the basics. A great site is Honeybee Health Coalition. They go over the specifics of all the approved U.S. treatment protocols. Just know that each treatment protocol has its pros and cons. Of the organic acid treatments, formic is very hard on brood and more expensive than oxalic acid. Oxalic is more difficult to apply, and the vapor is more dangerous. There are treatments that can't be used with honey supers on, and those who damage bees in hot weather. So if you must treat, make sure it's warranted. That's where testing and monitoring come in. Other issues are timing related. So know what's going on in the boxes is important to understand if your treatment will be detrimental or not. Any treatment that vaporizes will interfere with the pheromone profile of the bees, another problem for new queens, and thymol products have the same issues. So there you are, an overview of Varroa mites, diagnostics, treatments, and cause of colony failures, and the very reason I decided to develop and design the Roadmap platform. This specific issue causes huge colony losses each winter. Just watch the social media sites and you can see just how many lose half to all of their colonies each year. Without acknowledging that mites are the primary reason for it, well, we'll just see it continue to happen. My response is to support those of you that have had the same kind of start I did. A lack of beekeeping mentor, no structured learning path, and too much overwhelming information online to wade through. But you don't want to keep repeating the same mistakes every season. This system I've built is structured for your success. A roadmap with support, built by a seasoned educator with a lifetime of experience in managed livestock and who's been refined in the fire of teaching in universities and institutions across the country. One way to make positive incremental improvement, of course, is moving your skills and knowledge forward in small steps. Biting off more than you can chew is never a good idea and only creates frustration and failure. Add to that a bit of problem solving and mistake reduction, and voila! You are a better beekeeper. How do we improve skills, increase knowledge, and reduce mistakes the fastest and easiest way? We're here to help you by giving you that secret ingredient to success with bees, a good beekeeping coach or mentor. We'll not only guide you through the steep learning curve of beekeeping, we'll answer questions and get you clarity each study hall session throughout the season. This is what we do: teach, nurture, mentor, coach, and guide, so you can enjoy your time with the bees. To facilitate learning, we support our beginning beekeepers and even our more experienced ones with regular study halls and Q&A sessions to give our students timely and seasonal guidance for related answers and solutions. We have a beekeeping chat and beekeeping discussion thread inside the platform for open discussion and interaction of our beekeeping community. Also provided is a beekeeper blog section for current happenings in our hives. If you want to know more about each of our membership levels, there's a link to that as well. Here's our list of features and benefits. And this very topic on mites is in our roadmap program in step 9. You'll find a link to it in the video description below. So there you go. Tons of resources, lots of support, and a tried and true direction for an epic beekeeping journey. Not just any journey, but a successful one, where you come out the other side with confidence and measurably improved skills. Your success is our success, so we hope to see you inside the program.